Hello, my name is David Canales. I am from Alice, Texas, and I am 24 years old. I started to listen to the call into the priesthood about 2.5 years ago. I experienced a small setback in my life. A friend of mine was killed tragically in a car accident, and dealing with that and through the things that I did with my friends and family because of that, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. And it's something that in that part of my life, God used that to call me to serve Him. And I had several different feelings and experiences in that part of my life that I just knew. I had that feeling in my heart. I didn't have any concrete evidence, and I think that that is not unique not only to me but to others who have received a calling, because my story is no different from everyone else's. But it's just the feeling that I have in my heart, and because of my faith, that tells me that God is calling me to serve Him. After I mentioned this earlier, a friend of mine was killed in a car accident, and it was after that that I started to receive these little signals from God. I'll put them in that word for you. But they were very special, very something that brought up a lot of questions, and something that I really had to discern and to really think and pray about. And I did for a while, and then continued to go on with my life, and it kept on coming back. And that's when I realized that I wasn't running away from it to begin with, but I just couldn't put it aside anymore. So that's when I started to talk more openly about it and ask more questions. And that's when I became friends with a priest here in the valley, and started to ask him a lot of questions as far as like what would happen if I did choose to enter the seminary. We started doing hypotheticals on what would happen if I left and when would I leave, and so I just started the dialogue, which was good for me because it got me to think more about my vocation or my possible vocation. And last year, this is where I was retreatant. I was not a staff member or a seminarian. I was on the other end of the spectrum, and it brought a lot of answers, and it brought a lot of closure as far as my decision making, which is something that I mean, I don't see myself as different from anybody else because God calls us in our own unique way, but yet it's all the same. And I just think just being in a vocational retreat like this is called in enough. The seed has already been planted, and it just takes a little bit more time. And as I said earlier, I was in your spot last year as a retreatant, and the retreat for me answered a lot of questions, and though by then I had already made my decision, it still was another step in my discernment. And I think my word of advice is to you is to really focus, really pray, really look into it. It's a little scary, but it's nothing that we're not going to be able to handle. And on the last note, I just want to encourage you to discern more, discern very hard. It is a big decision to make, and it may seem scary at times, but it really isn't. It's a beautiful decision to make, and it's a beautiful life that we are all, for most of the seminarians who have already decided, and for those who have already decided, it is a beautiful life to live and to lead. And something I want to end with, and that it's been sort of my theme since I made my decisions last summer before I left, and it is a quote by Pope John Paul II, and he says, "It is not enough to discover Christ. You must lead Him to others." And so I encourage you, and I am praying for you as you discern your vocation.